The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
I heard this story from my nephew, who just is within the year of Vedas of his father. His name is Mesirat Parnas. And this story is of his great-grandfather. It's a beautiful story. His great-grandfather, my nephew's grandfather, was a little boy when his parents came to the United States of America. And like those few mishpachas, they came to America looking for a job. On Monday they take a job, and on Shabbos they say they're sick. The next Shabbos they're out of a job. He couldn't get a job with Shmiras Shabbos. He couldn't get a job, and they had rented an apartment, and this goes back early years of the United States. Couldn't get a job with Shmiras Shabbos. Didn't have what to eat. Didn't have what to live. The boss he had rented an apartment house, and they threw him out, and it was winter, threw out the whole family with the little table that they had onto the snow. The Goyish superintendent had Rachmanis in them, and says to the man, he says to the father, "You're going to be out in the snow with your children, they're going to get sick, they're going to get pneumonia. But you can walk around in the snow. Come into the coal cellar. Down at the bottom of the apartment house is a coal cellar. Over there a swarm. You can live over there." He moves in with his family, the children, into the coal cellar. One day, this little boy, who was the grandfather of my nephew, is playing out in the snow, and a man walks by with his friend, and he says, "Look at this little Schwarzer, this little Negro boy that knows Yiddish." So the little boy says, "I'm not a Schwarzer. I'm a Yiddish kid. Why do you call me a Schwarzer? Why do you call me a Schwarzer?" He says, why is your face black?" She says, "Because I live in a coal cellar." She live in a coal cellar. Why do you live in a coal cellar? "Because my father doesn't have money to buy." He wants to see what's going on. He walks into the coal cellar, and he meets the father, and he says, "Why do you live in the coal cellar?" She says, "I can't afford an apartment." "Why can't you afford an apartment? Why don't you work?" "I can't get a job. I want to keep Shabbos." He took out $500. $500 in those days, I think everyone sitting knows $500 is. $500, and he was in the spoil. He says, "Take $500 and get yourself a decent apartment." So he says, "Do you keep Shabbos?" She says, "No." She says, "Look, I never accepted money from someone who doesn't keep Shabbos. I don't want to accept the money. But today the circumstances are different. Today the circumstances are different because this is not my wife and my children living in a coal cellar. I can't not accept the money. Do me a favor, let me ask my wife. If she will agree not to accept the money, then I won't accept the money. If she wants the money, then I'll take the money, the $500. The man walks after him, calls his wife, and in front of this Nodiv, a Jewish man, a rich man, he says, "This man wants to give us $500 and he doesn't keep Shabbos. I never took money from someone who doesn't keep Shabbos. Should I take the money or not?" So she says, if you never took money from someone who doesn't keep Shabbos, don't take the money. He gave back the $500. This rich young man goes home and tells his wife and says, "I saw something today very amusing and very stupid. There was a family living in a coal cellar. I gave them $500 and he wouldn't receive their money because I don't keep Shabbos." Have you heard anything like that in your life? He tells his wife. So she starts crying. And she says, "When we came from Europe, we also kept Shabbos, and you promised me that we just have to make some money. And the moment we make some money, you're going to start keeping Shabbos again. And now you look how rich you are. And now you see your family doesn't want to take money from you because you don't keep Shabbos." And she started crying. The kids, at the end of the story is, they made up and they went back to the family. "We promised from today on to keep Shabbos." And the family became a family of Shomer Shabbos and built generations of Erlich HaYidin. A moment of Mesirat Nefesh can build generations. So we think, because look at the greatness in a moment of Mesirat Nefesh. I feel that's not the real explanation. The real explanation is because this is Hashem's world. Hashem takes our little mitzvah. Hashem takes our little piece of Mesirat Nefesh. And Hashem says, "This is a seed. This mitzvah. This is my mitzvah. You did it for me? Give it to me. And Hashem, the smallest mitzvah builds generations.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org